Welcome back, everybody. Today, we actually have some good news to talk about. This one's going to be funny, because Kristie Noem, the dog killer, has lost her job. She was fired by Donald Trump. Many of you might not know this, but, go back to 2016, and one of the most popular quotes from Donald Trump was, "You're fired. You're fired." He used to say that. That was like his catchphrase. And I remember Donald Trump supporters would be like, "Obama, you're fired," whenever Trump won. And then, now that Trump's in office again, he has made Kristie Noem, a woman who most of us discovered when we found out that she murdered her child's dog while her kid was out at school for acting like a puppy. It was actually a puppy, not just a grown dog. It was a puppy that acted like a puppy, so she shot it and tried to hide it from the child, but the child ended up seeing it anyway, which made it that much worse. Then she proceeded to write about it all in her biography, and now she leads the Department of Homeland Security. Well, she did, until a couple days ago when she got fired. I gotta say, it was very, very funny to find out that she'd gotten fired, because Donald Trump's administration is and has always been a popularity contest. And if you fall out of favor, if you're no longer one of the cool kids, you get kicked out of the cool kids group. And that is what has happened. Kristie Noem has been kicked out of the cool kids group. And the moment most people are saying pushed Trump to fire her is right here. This is her at a hearing, being questioned. Let's watch.
To get my congratulations on the record. I believe you have a policy, Madam Secretary, that you have to approve all contracts at your department over $100 million.
No, sir. I have a policy in place that I review contracts. My deputy chiefs have the ability to review anything under $5 million. Above that, I evaluate and look at.
Okay. And you do that, I understand, to try to curb waste and abuse of taxpayer money. Is that right?
Yes, sir. In fact, it's been extremely effective. We've saved the taxpayers over $13.2 billion just by evaluating contracts, negotiating lower ones, and canceling ones that aren't necessary to do our duties.
How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements?
Yeah. You remember all those cringe ads she did where she was working like a million different jobs? You remember that? Where she's like a secretary, a doctor, a construction worker, a like commercial fisherman, a line worker at a factory. You remember those ads? $200 million she spent in federal taxpayer dollars to make those ads and run those ads. And she's talking about how concerned they were about spending.
That feature you prominently.
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed.
Oh yeah, she apparently might have kept a lot of that money, which I think would... Is it embezzlement if it's not from a private company and it's instead stealing U.S. tax dollars? Because there might be a different name for that crime when you're pocketing U.S. tax dollars that you're claiming are being spent by the federal institution that you're the head of on a project. If you instead take that and skim money off the top and pocket it, that might be larceny. Well, I mean, that's just theft. It's still embezzlement. They don't have a different name for it when it's not done on the corporate level. I only ever hear about embezzlement done on the corporate level, so yeah, I guess it is still embezzlement when you steal from the government, because that was part of the first arc in Better Call Saul. The husband, the not Fettermans. I don't know why I'm thinking the Fettermans. The family that Saul tries to represent. The dad basically embezzled the state of New Mexico, if I remember right. It's been a bit since I saw season 1, but I think that's what he'd done. And like he had stolen the Kettlemans. I think they'd stolen like hundreds of thousands of dollars from the state of Albuquerque, or the city of Albuquerque, or the state of New Mexico. I forget which. So yeah, I guess it is still embezzlement.
And since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking were people who had formerly done your political work back in South Dakota. Is that right?
No, that's not correct, sir.
I think it is.
No, it's not, sir. The individuals who, I believe the careers who they chose were 2 different media firms. There's been conversation about their subcontractors, but we have no legal authority to look into subcontractors on work like that.
Okay. And you're saying that you're testifying that President Trump...
Really? When you contract a firm, you're not, for a project, you have no authority to say you can't subcontract to this or this company? That doesn't sound true.
Prove this ahead of time, is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that we were telling people...
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes.
Oh, the outright... He set her up and she took the bait like an idiot. And obviously, this is the moment where Donald Trump decided her ass is done. She is fired. She doesn't realize it, but she just threw Trump under the bus right there.
Did the president know you were going to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
well, they were
overwhelmingly
effective in your name recognition. I personally just, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And
yep. He knows what he did.
I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe, knowing the president, as I do, that you said, Mr. President, here's some ads I've cut, and I'm going to spend $200.
Listen, this is a good old boy right here who knows how to fish, all right? He knows how to be patient, to put out the bait, and to wait for the fish to bite. And she took that bait and threw Trump right under the bus, and her job with it. Oh, man. That is so funny. So Trump approved $220 million in tax dollars for your ads. Yes. Can't make this up. She's so stupid.
$20 million running them, that he would have agreed to that. I don't think Russ Vogt at OMB would have agreed to that. It's something we have to defend. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. My research shows that you did not bid them out, that you picked, in fact, one of the people you picked, the strategy group, Safe America Media was a company formed 11 days before you picked them, and that the strategy group got most of the money, and the head of that is married to your former spokesperson. Look, we all have friends who are qualified. I'm not quibbling with that. It troubles me. A fifth to a quarter of $1 billion of taxpayer money when we're scratching for every penny and we're fighting over rescission packages. I just can't agree with, Madam Secretary. Are you still running those ads?
No, Senator, I did not have anything to do with picking those contractors. I know politicals at the Department of Homeland Security did.
I understand. Are you
Career
still running
officials
those
followed
ads?
the competitive bid process.
Are you still running those ads?
I think the ads are due to end here in March, I think within a week.
So
I'm
they
not
are
sure
still
of the
running?
update. The one that is running is focusing on angel families. Have you seen that? It is the one that's talking about this is our why. This is why we work every day.
Okay.
It's for the angel
I've got to
families
move
and their
on.
victims that need to.
After
President Trump has removed Kristi Noem as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, man, it's so good. Oh, man. You're fired. How could she think that was a good idea? Like, in this political landscape where Trump and his administration can do anything and get away with it, why didn't she just own it? Why didn't she just own saying, no, I designated the money be spent because I thought it was what was necessary to stop illegal immigration. She should have just said that, and Donald Trump would have made sure that nothing happened to her. Like, she absolutely fumbled the bag there. That was not, that was a lack of ball knowledge, as the kids say.
Noem has spent the past 2 days on Capitol Hill as she has faced growing backlash over her job and handling of the Department of Homeland Security and particularly Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis. The president announced she would be transitioning.
So yeah, she's now getting like set to be the head of some new made up part of the U.S. government. We don't know what it's exactly going to be yet because it hasn't been elaborated on. For all we know, she's just going to kind of be like a figurehead who's technically not fired from the White House, just so Trump doesn't look like he made a mistake. But yeah, she's done. She's done. Unless this new group she's going to be the head of is going to be given any substantial power, it's likely we're not going to be talking about Kristie Noem anymore, which is kind of sad because the jokes about her shooting puppies were pretty funny. If not also sad because she literally does shoot puppies. But let's see what her reaction to all of this was. Let's watch her try to keep her emotions together on live TV.
Apparently, Kristie Noem is speaking in an event right now. I'll try and figure out what that event is, but let's listen in.
Just thank you for that and know that we pray for you, that God will have his hand on you and your families and continue to bless you as you do your work. Listen, I'd like to thank everybody who's hosted me today. I know we've got a host of leaders that are here. We just met with Vince backstage a little bit and talked to him a little bit. Tony obviously has been very helpful. Michael, who is from the New York State Chief of Department, Mark Ross, Craig Miller. We've got Craig Lally as well. And then the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police Recording Secretary Rob is here. And then Rochester Police Locust Club President Jeff is with us as well. But would you give all of those individuals who stepped up into a leadership position a round of applause for what they do to bring everybody together? Now, in his State of the Union address just last week, President Trump reminded us of what it is every American's duty to do.
God, she's got that like whipped dog aura right now. You know, she's got the aura of a whipped dog. You can tell that she got sat down and told what's what.
And that is to serve the American people. That's what the government is to do, those elected officials and those that step up into public service, is to fulfill our duty to protect American citizens, that they should come first under our Constitution and our laws, and they should be prioritized, and especially over other people who are from other countries. The Constitution demands that we treat our citizens that way, and the men and women who serve at the Department of Homeland Security, they understand the importance of that, and we also understand the importance of all of our law enforcement officers and what they do across the country to keep people safe. The department was formed after the horrific events on 9/11, and just 2 years later, as Congress put the department...
Dude, I love how you got like centrists out there talking about DHS and ICE, like abolishing them is this insane radical left-wing idea when these organizations are less than 30 years old. It's like, what are you talking about? Most Americans are older than the Department of Homeland Security. Like, or this shit is, it's ridiculous. ICE is so much younger than most Americans. The idea of abolishing ICE is not radical. The amount of people I see on social media that are like, yeah, you know, I think some people are going too far with the whole abolish ICE thing. It's like, that's radical to you? Clearly, a lot of these people just like, they don't know what ICE is. Many of them might not know what the Patriot Act was. Granted, politics is inhabited a lot now by people who are, you know, in their 20s and were babies when 9/11 happened. I was a baby when 9/11 happened. I don't remember it. I wasn't old enough to have memories yet.
Together with the support of the president, 23 different agencies who had a nexus and a focus on defending the homeland were put in order to make sure that they were all following the same mission every single day. So it's a very diverse department. It not only has FLETC in it that trains over 130 different federal law enforcement agencies and officers from those agencies. It also includes CBP, ICE, CWMD, which is Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction. So some of you may have gone through some of those trainings to help us detect some of the threats here in our homeland, and also some of the trainings that it takes as far as responding to fires and 911 calls in different specific situations. We have intelligence agencies. We also cover FEMA. FEMA is a disaster response agency, but it also is the agency that's entrusted to run the government on our very worst day. If we had a tragedy in this country where we needed some
no, this is not true. FEMA has been enormously underfunded and has even had significant funding cuts under Kristie Noem, and this is going to bite us in the ass. 2025 was thankfully a very uncharacteristically low rate of natural disasters year for the United States. We didn't really have any major hurricanes, storms, or floods do significant damage to large swaths of America like we're used to have happen every year, or almost every year. But this year, when hurricane season hits, if we get hit with a normal hurricane season, the lack of funding to FEMA is going to bite the Trump admin, and sadly, a lot of Americans that are affected by it, in the ass, and it's going to bite hard. There have been a lot of people raising alarm bells about the next big disaster, the next big hurricane that makes all the rivers in North Carolina flood over. You know, like, FEMA is not equipped to handle it. Like, way less equipped than they were for Katrina or for I'm forgetting the name of the hurricane that fucked up North Carolina and the Appalachians really bad. But if another situation like that happens again, you're going to find out exactly what I mean. There's a lot of experts that have been warning that FEMA is below underfunded.
One to step up because our leadership was not able to. That agency would be entrusted to do that and to maintain our critical infrastructure. So they ensure that they go forward and maintain our electrical grid and our critical infrastructure such as water and systems that we rely on every day to help the American people be safe and to still have their way of life. We also have CISA, which some of you may have worked with them, which is our cybersecurity agency, which goes out and not only hunts down bad actors that would attack us on our cyber systems, but also gives us mitigation measures for how we can harden our systems. All of these entities work together to serve the American people and to make sure that we're prepared for any threats that we may face, but also respond to them in a way that honors what our ideals are. The sacred duty of our government truly is that people are entrusted to secure the rights also of all the
Okay, so just want to set the scene for you. As you probably know by now, we just got word that the President of the United States has fired Kristie Noem as Secretary of Department of Homeland Security. Apparently, she was already set to give these remarks at 2 o'clock.
Dude, imagine you have like a set speech you've got to do, and then right before you get fired or like massively demoted, and then you still have to do the speech. That is the situation that Kristie Noem is in. Oh man, you can tell that she's like still in the recovery of receiving the news too.
Is in Nashville. She's addressing the Sergeant Benevolent Association Major Cities Conference, where she's talking about the impact of DHS and local law enforcement cooperation. But we found out that there was a live camera on her, so we're kind of standing by. We're monitoring this to see if she will say anything about the fact that the president has now fired her as Secretary of DHS, but moving her over to a different position. She's going to be moving over to Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas. Apparently, this is a new security.
There's no way this new security advisory group or whatever, the Shield of the Americas, is going to be anything real. But if it ends up being like the American black shirts, then we will be covering it. Don't worry.
Initiative in the Western Hemisphere, as the president describes it. He thanked Kristie for her service at the homeland and says that this announcement of this position and this new organization he'll talk more about over the weekend. So we are going to go ahead and dip back in as the former secretary is making comments here about DHS and local law enforcement and the cooperation between the two at the Sergeant Benevolent Association Major Cities Conference in Nashville. We'll see if she acknowledges the fact that she has now been relieved of her position as Secretary of DHS.
Chance to visit with you. I appreciate your wisdom and your advice as we continue to develop trainings and insight into how leadership can work together to make good decisions and to break down the silos between agencies so that we can work together more different, in better ways than we have in the past. And we're seeing challenges across the country from judges and courts that are working to stop some of our efforts, that are looking to take away some of the protections that you need in law to do your work. And then also we're seeing some challenges from sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. In fact, after I get done sharing a few more words, I want to hear your questions on ways that we can help you do your jobs if you're in a situation where the laws may be a little different than it is in other states, or you may have unique challenges that perhaps we could work together on to find ways to help you bring criminals to justice.
She got a mouse in her pocket? Who's we? What do you mean we? You're not the head of the Department of Homeland Security anymore. What do you mean we?
And to protect your community from public safety threats. America is the greatest country in the world, and it's the greatest country in the world that has great cities and great communities. Regardless of where people live, we need to make sure that they have an opportunity to go to work every day safely and to send their kids to school safely every day. Sanctuary cities do give us a challenge because it makes it difficult at times for law enforcement to do their work. And we see that many times when a city cooperates with the federal government.
Mind you, these challenges are local governments and local police departments refusing to allow ICE agents to break the law. That is what they're referring to. Or that's what she's referring to.
Government cooperates with our federal officers that it is safer. In fact, 7 of our top 10 safest countries in the nation are not sanctuary.
You can really tell she's not on her A game. That getting fired thing is definitely eating at her.
Cities. They're cities where the local law enforcement partners with us. They partner with our federal agencies, with the FBI, DEA, ATF, CBP, ICE, and our operations. And we've also seen across the country where 5 of our 10 most crime-ridden cities do not cooperate with us, where those that are not cooperative with federal officers will see challenges on their streets. We've seen a lot of different situations from city to city. The one thing I would encourage you that no matter how frustrated you may be with some of that we can find a way to work together to do some good work for our people. In fact, even in Memphis, where we saw different leadership, we had different parties in the governorship and in the mayor, we still were able to arrest and bring to justice over 2,600 criminals, and in a way that significantly dropped their crime rate and significantly helped those communities continue to take those public safety threats off the streets. We got over 150.
The law enforcement agencies, like the police departments of these cities, do not agree. So I'm going to trust the local police departments, whose entire existence is centered around enforcing the law and keeping public safety in these cities, over the masked federal agents who are literally like fighting a war over having their identities be public because they're so worried about what their actions while on duty will make happen when they're off duty. I'm going to trust the police who do their job without masks on and wear body cams over these ICE guys. Yeah.
Different illegal sex offenders off of the street. We saw one of those arrests included a criminal illegal alien from Venezuela that was convicted of aggravated criminal assault and abuse of a child. I'm thankful that that individual is no longer on the streets because of the cooperation of those local law enforcement.
What about all those children that you also detained?
We have agreements across the country called 287G agreements. I'm sure you're familiar with them, but there is 3 different models that are available. One is a jail model that helps us with some detention. The other is a warrant service officer model that is extremely helpful for us to make sure that we can take jurisdiction or of an individual who's a criminal in the safety of an environment of a courthouse or a jail, and they can be turned over to ICE so that we have the ability to return them back home. And the other model would be in the task force model, which I hope many of you have the opportunity to cooperate with us in, where we can use our different authorities to go out and go after the worst.
She almost looks like checked out, like she has to disassociate, or she'll like feel emotions and start crying on the podium, which I really wanted to see. I really wanted to see that. But then again, She is capable of executing puppies in cold blood, so she might not have emotions, even ones that are like negative in regards to bad things happening to herself. She might literally be a robot. Possible. I mean, what do you think's more likely, that a real life woman chose to be a part of the Trump administration, or that she came out of a lab? I think the lab thing is just more likely. I think a lot of these MAGA women came out of labs, and I think more people need to start pointing it out, because there's some fishy stuff going on here. She looks like a reptilian. Her and Erica Kirk have reptilian eyes. If there are reptile people living under like the surface of the earth, she's one of the reptile people. Make no mistake. I'm curious to see how reptilian the new head of the Department of Homeland Security will be. I guess you guys will have to keep up with the channel to find out. Yeah, who knows? Maybe Kristie Noem and Erica Kirk will be like the main villains of the next Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 10, the Kirkening. It's just armies of Kirk clones you have to fight, zombie Kirks. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way at all, consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really does help a lot. Subscribe and ring the bell icon if you want to see more from me. Follow my social medias linked down below. Consider donating or subscribing to support the stream financially if you want to. But as always, don't forget to have a good one. I hope to see you again soon.